This is the new generation Subaru Forester, and this one here is the hybrid. This is a pre-production model, and in this review I'm going to give you a glimpse as to what to expect when it comes to the drive experience and a little bit of off-roading as well. So stick around. If you haven't already, please subscribe and ring that bell, and let's get to it. At the time I'm filming this, there is no pricing information available for the new generation Forester just yet, but the existing model starts at around $38,000 and tops out just over 50 grand. So I guess you can expect maybe a price increase in line with some of the technology that's been added here and that new hybrid powertrain as well. But hey, I think it could still stack up as pretty good value for those who are looking for something from a known brand with a known reputation. But let's talk about some alternatives that you might want to look into before the new Forester arrives if you're in a bit of a rush to buy a new SUV. First off, if you know you're going to do off-roading as a priority and you do want something rugged and capable, I think you should go and have a look at the GWM Tank 300. It might be more hardcore than you actually need, but that might be all the reason to buy it because it does have serious off-road underpinnings. It has plenty of options when it comes to powertrains. There's petrol-electric hybrid, and a diesel as well. And it's really, really compelling stuff when it comes to the off-roading and great value as well. It's a seriously good thing if you are looking for an off-road vehicle. And if you're looking for a hybrid mid-size SUV that's one of the best you can get, you don't want to wait for the Forester, you should check out the Toyota RAV4. It is bloody excellent. It still remains one of the best in the class when it comes to the drive experience, and also that powertrain tech is next level good. It is super efficient, super good in terms of the practicality and interior space as well. It might be feeling a little bit dated in a few ways, but hey, it's got a great reputation, that RAV4. And finally, it might be worth waiting for the rugged-looking GWM Haval H7 Big Dog, as it's called in China. The H7 is arriving in Australia later this year, and my preview drive in China gave me some pretty good indications that it's going to be compelling in terms of the practicality, the thoughtfulness, the ruggedness, but maybe not the powertrains that you're expecting. Make sure you watch that review, and also you'll find links to all my other off-road SUV reviews in the description below, and some mid-size SUVs that you might also want to consider there too. Thanks for subscribing, by the way. The new generation Forester is built on the same wheelbase as before. So it's the same platform, but with a heavy update in terms of the look. You tell me what you think about it in the comments section below. The more I look at it, the more I think it probably should have a longer wheelbase because it does have a bit of a nose and tail heavy appearance from the profile view in particular. Now I'm going to put some data on your screen, including the ground clearance, which is pretty good for a mid-sized SUV. And I think it does make for, well, the intent of this vehicle. It is more off-roady than lots of the others out there. Now at the rear, it does have the Forester name emblazoned across the tailgate, as you can see there, just like the 2010, I think it was, Forester, which I really like the look of that one. Let's have a look in the boot and see what we're working with in terms of boot space. And yes, a fair amount. It is about the same as the existing Forester in terms of the boot capacity, and it's got plenty of smarts in the back here too. You've got remote folding release buttons there for those seats. So if I hit that, you can see it just dropped that seat down for me. It's also got a 12-volt port, some hooks for storage of bags and so forth. Same on the other side, and a subwoofer there too. Sadly though, the hybrid model does not have a spare, and that could be a serious issue for buyers in country areas who don't want to put up with something that has a puncture repair kit, because that's what this one has. The petrol versions will still come with a spare wheel, a space saver version. So what do you think about that? Is it a deal breaker? And hey, if you're wondering about the interior, I'm going to go into more detail in the interior when I get a chance to do my full detailed review of this car very, very soon. So make sure you ring the bell and you'll be notified when that review goes live. Final specifications for this new generation Forester are still to be confirmed, so we don't know what the 2.5 litre Boxer 4-cylinder non-turbo petrol version has in terms of power and torque. The previous one had 136 kilowatts and 239 newton meters for Australia, and it's still got a CVT auto, which has been revised for better drivability in low and high speed situations, and it's still all-wheel drive all the time. Symmetrical all-wheel drive. And so is this one, which is the e-Boxer Hybrid. It's a strong hybrid this time around, still with a 2.5 litre Boxer engine, but with an 88 kilowatt electric motor integrated into the CVT automatic transmission. And the battery is a 1.1 kilowatt hour battery pack, which is mounted under the rear floor. Still got a CVT, and it's still all-wheel drive too. And it's not an electric motor at the rear axle like a RAV4. It's a mechanical all-wheel drive system with the electric motor helping out in different situations, whether it's on-road or off. All right, enough chat. Let's go drive it, shall we? I'm not allowed to drive this car on actual roads, so I'm driving on a private road as part of a facility north of Sydney where I'm able to experience it, you know, sort of like a racetrack experience, but not necessarily racing it. So these roads, or this piece of road, is very much just like what you might find in some of the better areas of Australia. So it's not necessarily 100% indicative of the bad surfaces that you'll find yourself coming across, but if you find a good road, this is basically what it's like. And it's smooth and it's easy, and that's sort of the story with the Forester Hybrid as well. It is smooth and easy, and I do think that it feels more mature than the existing Forester in terms of the dynamics of the vehicle. It's got decent steering to it, does change direction relatively agilely, if that's a word, and then it's also got a nice level of ride comfort to it. Now, it does have different suspension to the petrol model to basically accommodate for the extra weight of the electrics and the battery pack. So it's a slightly different configuration in terms of the suspension dampers, but general architecture is the same. So look, the ride comfort, it's hard to say what it's actually like, but it does feel relatively flat and balanced through corners, which is nice to see. And the steering, as I said, is pretty good too. But let's talk this powertrain. So you've got a couple of different things that you can do with this powertrain on the road. You can have it run as an EV. You hit the EV button, and provided that the battery is full enough and you're not driving it too fast, it will go into EV mode. And it will also go into EV mode at higher speeds and use the engine to basically try and replenish the battery pack as well. So that is neat to see. And it can use a combination of petrol and electric as well if it sees fit. And it's a very smart powertrain. It seems to be significantly more focused on EV and economy, and also the added power benefit of electrification compared to the previous model, which was, well, honestly, the mildest of mild hybrids that you could probably come across, and it wasn't very good in my opinion. So this one is good, and well, I think it's definitely going to be a very good choice for people who can afford to spend the extra to get into the hybrid. But obviously we don't know the full pricing strategy for it just yet. Make sure you subscribe and ring the bell, and when I get a chance to drive it on road, an actual road that is, I'll tell you more about pricing and specs and fuel consumption as well, which hasn't been disclosed just yet. But the brand has said that it will do more than 1,000 kilometers of driving on a full tank, and Subaru insiders have told me it's actually been a little closer to 1,100 in real world testing, which is great to see. And I mean, you're probably expecting to see a fuel consumption number on the highway in the 5 to 6 litres per 100k range, is my guess at least. But generally, I think it's a pretty decent drive experience. I think also the good thing about it is that this regen braking system doesn't interrupt the drive experience too much. It still has pretty honest feeling brakes, and the pedal action is good. And while it's not the fastest and it's not going to be the most fun in many ways in terms of the drive experience, it might actually offer you more fun off-road than many of the other mid-sized SUVs. In fact, let's go for a little off-road jaunt now, shall we? Okay, now it's time to go off-road in this Forester, and It's the hybrid one I'm in yet again, and I want to show you some things about the way that this behaves itself. So you've still got X mode. There's a few different X mode modes that you can use, including snow and dirt, which is the one I'm in now, and that basically will set up your hill descent control. So I've got no feet on any pedal right now, and it will just judge the gradient and basically set the speed based on what you've set it at with your accelerator or brake pedal. And it does do a really good job in slippery situations on wet grass or even on muddier track sections. It will do really, really well with that. And then there's also the deep snow and mud one, which, well, that mode is more about trying to dig you out of trouble. So in deep snow, basically there's powder on top, and then there's a level of grip below that. So it will just try and spin the tires a bit more until it finds grip. And that is exactly what it will do in that mode. So you will get more throttle response in that mode. It's a bit more perky feeling, but in the snow and dirt mode, which is the one you'll probably want to use more often, it is going to do the job for you. It does have pretty good ground clearance. As I said before, the biggest improvement you could possibly make on a Forester if you were considering it for off-road duties would be tires. That's pretty much the case for any all or four-wheel drive vehicle. Tires are grip. Grip is everything. And well, if you want to be able to do some fun stuff in rough stuff, then well, better tires means better potential for that. So we'll cruise down this. This is quite a steep little gully that we're going into right now. 16 degrees, the display tells me down here. So it is a rather steep little descent, and then up the other side. And yes, because we've got the four-wheel drive traction that we need, you can easily cruise uphill. And it will do a lot of the stuff in EV mode when you're going downhill. In particular, when you need a bit more power, it will call the engine into action and well, basically allow you to use some power that you might not otherwise be able to in EV mode, especially if the battery's depleted. It's only a small battery. It does deplete pretty quickly, but I do think that this is a pretty impressive thing when it comes to the off-road potential for it. I'm going to do a bit more steep downhill stuff in a sec. Got to bottom out, yep, just a little bit. Ground clearance could be better, but it's still one of the best in the class when it comes to ground clearance. So just picking my way down this hill. It is rather steep, people, and it's a bit sandy as well, so potential for a bit of slip there. Yeah, so if I tap the brake and just try and rein it in a little bit, it will do its most aggressive level of hill descent control at about 3 k's an hour. So very, very good. But then I've noticed in the hybrid one, I drove the petrol one earlier, it does have a tendency to gather a bit too much pace in the hybrid. So let me just tap the brake again. You don't want to slide down a hill like this. Yeah, it's going a bit too quick. Just maybe a little bit of a disappointment, but in the petrol, it did hold 3 k's an hour all the way down, and we are almost all the way down. But yes, it is certainly a pretty easy thing to drive off-road. If you're a novice and you are thinking, I'd like to go camping, I'm a bit worried about the tracks and trails we might encounter, well, I think a Forester will be up to the task if that's you. And if you're an enthusiast, well, maybe a lift kit and a set of tires would make it an even better off-road capable vehicle. And listen, we're just cruising in EV mode in the nature that we're in right now. It's beautiful to have EV as part of this equation. The other great thing about this as a novice off-roader is you don't have to worry about diff locks or anything like that, and you don't have to think about putting it into low range and worrying about forgetting to take it out of low range or high range, depending on what you end up doing. But it is an all-wheel drive vehicle, and it will stay all-wheel drive all the time. That's one of the big benefits of it. And it just does a really good job of scrambling up steep stuff like I'm going up right now, and doing it with ease. Stock tires, and yeah, it's making it look like it's not hard work at all. But there's something I want to show you just up here where we can test this all-wheel drive system a little bit more. So for this part, I'm just gonna put the wheel over the next little rise. And here we go, just put it over the top of that. And to demonstrate what it's like, if you're stuck, I can feel I've got a little bit of an issue with traction here. So if I put my foot down about 10% throttle, if I just try and ease the car out, it's doing a lot of electronic thinking to apportion the torque where it needed to go. So it got me out of that without any hassle. I had no traction on 2 corners essentially, and it managed to rock the car out really, really nicely. Now this little roll on, roll off section here is another good example of how that system can apportion the power where it needs to go. So we've lost traction there, just letting it find its way through. And there we go. So I think it's fair to say that when it comes to the off-road performance of the Subaru Forester, the hybrid model is very impressive, and so is the petrol. So if you're trying to weigh up which one might be right for you, look, I would say that the hybrid does have the added fuel efficiency benefits and that EV system to give you a little bit more torque when you might want it. So it could be a really great choice. And the fact that you can do some off-roading in beautiful countryside without any noisy engine stuff happening, some of the time at least, it's a nice bonus too. If you're after a family-friendly mid-sized SUV with hybrid power and all-wheel drive, well, you've just got another really good option to consider. The new generation Forester certainly seems like a promising product, but I guess we'll have to wait and see what the pricing is like and also what the ownership costs are like, and importantly, that fuel consumption number for the hybrid model. Make sure you subscribe and ring the bell and you'll be notified when I get a chance to do a review in more detail on actual roads and tell you even more about this Forester. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and thanks for supporting my channel. It means a lot. I'll see you later.